Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. And Starscream girlfriend and I, just a day or two ago, saw the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows movie. And what can I say about it as my initial reaction? Man, that was a great Transformers movie. What? Yeah, you heard me. I'll explain what I mean in just a couple of seconds. We're going to look at the good, we're going to look at the bad, and we're going to look at the ugly of this latest outing for the teen sensation known as the Turtles. Okay, so welcome back to the channel. By all means, hey, check me out everywhere, please. And this is your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. And yeah, okay. So the new Turtles movie has been out for a couple of weeks, and we're a little bit behind the eight ball seeing it, and this reaction is coming a little bit late. But you know, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do one for this movie, but I couldn't help it. And you see here, I have some figures from the first movie. Hey, they're going to kind of help me out with this review a bit, and I got a couple of Nickelodeon Turtles, Donatello and Raphael, because why not? I should have all four, and we don't have all four of the movie version. Like I said, these are from the first movie, not the latest movie. But they're going to serve a bit of a purpose, or at least a couple of them are going to serve a bit of a purpose. I'm not worrying this time about splitting up spoiler and non-spoiler, because honestly, I don't think anything I'm going to say is going to be a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. Let's get something straight right off the bat. The story is pretty good. It's easy to follow. It's pretty simple. I don't feel like there's a lot in there that's going to be difficult to follow in terms of thematic questions that it asks. Kind of what you would expect from a Turtles movie. There are questions about honor and loyalty, mostly. And they're valid questions, but I don't really need to get into the story. Is the story good? It's all right. There's a lot of jokes. A lot of the jokes are kind of lowbrow, kind of juvenile, kind of teenagerish, like you would sort of expect. Like I said, the story isn't bad overall. It's not too hard to follow. There's a lot of points where I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to make these guys seem like the teenagers they are, and keep the levity of it, and it sort of works. But I feel like when there's certain points of foreshadowing, like it's really obvious foreshadowing that you hear something or you see something and you're like, yeah, so they say that's not going to happen, so that's going to happen. Like I said, I don't want to get into spoilers or anything, and I won't, but, for example, there's a line that Splinter says to Leonardo, and after he said it, I was pretty much like, yeah, okay, so this is going to end up being a problem, guaranteed. And guess what? It was. So it's a little, it's a little easy to see there. In terms of the action, and the look of the movie, this movie is exceedingly Michael Bay style. That's why I said it was a great Transformers movie. Actually, it was Starscream girlfriend who initially pointed out that she had that feeling. It's not that it's bad, but it didn't feel like the Turtles were given their own style in it. They weren't given their own environment. It was as though you took the Turtles and you dropped them into the same sort of environments and the same sort of situations as you would see in Transformers. Now, that being said, there's an action sequence pretty early on that is pretty great, actually. Aboard a prison truck. It's an excellent sequence, especially, though I don't have the right Raphael, especially what Raphael does there. It's pretty fantastic. Anything that's come out in the action figure line, I certainly don't feel like is a spoiler. Their converted dump truck, and you've probably seen the toy of that already. That thing's pretty cool. It's not exactly the Turtles party wagon, but it's still pretty cool. The portrayal of the Turtles, if you didn't like the way that these guys were portrayed in the first movie, then you're not going to like how they're portrayed in the second movie, because it's pretty much the same thing. I did like that there's a very brief explanation or relating back to the first movie, talking about what they did, and it gives each of these guys an introduction. So if you didn't see the first movie, don't worry about it, because it's very, very easy to kind of just pick this one up and go, which I thought was nice. That being said, the way the story goes, as far as I'm concerned, by the end, you're probably going to end up saying, not that you got a lot of questions, but you're probably going to end up saying, like, yeah, I can see that this is going to need a third movie. There's just, the way things happen, it's going to need a third movie. This was a foot soldier in the first movie. It looks more like a clandestine military man. I like the portrayal of foot soldiers in the second movie so much better. They look and act more like ninjas, and the Foot Clan should act and look like ninjas. So I was a big fan of that. I like the portrayal of the Turtles and Splinter, so I don't have a problem with that. Even though the Turtles kind of having a little bit of noses is weird. I thought, though, that the effects and stuff used for them was fantastic. Not a particularly huge fan of the portrayal of Baxter Stockman in the movie. I'm not going to get into how he fits in or anything like that. It's not that it was bad. I see what they were going for with him to make him kind of that dweeb and stuff, and it wasn't way off. It's not like, Lex Luthor in Dawn of Justice or anything like that. It's not as bad as that. It's just, I feel like they made him a little too much of your typical scientist, dweeb, geek, whatever you want to call it, nerd. It was a little bit over the top. And, at one point, he's having this conversation with April, and again, I'm not going to get into what it's about or anything like that. And April ends up going through this, I guess, store. And, she steals a couple of items to put on as a disguise. And she's walking through, and she steals these items and walks into the store, and my first thought was, what? Bad security there. My second thought was, isn't she supposed to be one of the good guys? Shouldn't she not be stealing a bunch of stuff? What can I say? There's your April O'Neil as far as I'm concerned. Casey Jones. Okay representation. A little bit of a departure from your traditional Casey Jones incarnations, but not bad, just a little bit different. I could buy it. I thought it was okay. He had a really fancy goalie mask. I mean, really fancy. I've never seen a mask like it. Sorry about that. Character highlights, loved Bebop and Rocksteady, except for the fact that they're both shown as, as chunky, but they weren't, I don't remember them chunky in the old cartoon. I remember them more muscular. A lot of their banter is what you would expect from Bebop and Rocksteady. If you know those characters, they're not overly bright. They don't have the, most intelligent of conversations and the most intelligent of jokes. They're big bad bruisers. And they're big bad bruisers here. I feel like, though, that there was probably a little bit too much banter between them. It's fine that they had it, and it was, I think, pretty true to the characters. But I don't know if we needed as much of it. Still, I would call them a highlight, especially because, and I did not know this, but come on, WWE superstar Sheamus was Rocksteady? I loved it. I'd heard him, talk about the fact that he was starring in the new Ninja Turtles movie, and I figured, okay, well, he gets a cameo or something. But no, he's Rocksteady. I thought that was excellent. It was as a wrestling fan myself, that was just joy to me. I thought Rocksteady was one of the highlights of this movie. It was great. It was nice to see the Technodrome. Again, you've probably seen the playset for the Technodrome. But I feel like the Technodrome is akin to the Dinobots. And I draw that comparison because everybody looked forward to the Dinobots. You didn't see enough of them. I feel like a lot of people look forward to seeing the Technodrome in all of its glory, but you don't really see enough of it as far as I'm concerned. Krang. I dug Krang. I like the characterization. I wish we had seen more of him, throughout, but the times that he's there, he is extremely impactful. And like again, I'm kind of cool with that. I was glad to see, and I saw this, of course, first in the toy. I was glad to see that he got that big robot body that we're all used to him having. Um, Again, slight departure, but honestly, I feel like overall, for a movie version of Krang, it was pretty true to the character. And then we come to perhaps what I would deem as the biggest disappointment in the movie. This guy, the Shredder. Um, okay, in the first movie, this guy was one bad dude. I mean, he could shoot these claws from his hands. Yes, he didn't look like this in the movie, but in the movie, I mean, he was amped up with claws everywhere, on his shins and on his shoulders, and I mean, he was the Shredder. And then a little while ago, I saw a action figure where he's mostly just dressed in black. I think he has claws on his hands, and that's about it. I looked at it and said, "It's not a very good Shredder. I mean, where are all the claws all over his body?" I don't really dig his mask that much. But that toy is extremely accurate to what we get on screen. Shredder is... Okay, little history lesson here. For those who actually know the franchise of the Ninja Turtles, the Shredder's name is Oroku Saki. And as far as I'm concerned, we get more Oroku Saki in this than we get Shredder. He's there throughout. He's menacing, he's intimidating, but you are kind of waiting for him to do something, to really do something, because I mean, it's the Shredder. He's the bad dude there. And yes, he does lead the Foot Clan, and he does lead what's going on, but I don't really feel like the Shredder does much of anything. He stands around that black outfit. I'm waiting for him to change into his geared up blades. He spends a lot of time without his mask. Yeah, it was cool to see his face, but like, he's supposed to have his helmet and his mask on, and he doesn't really do very much of that. If you're thinking that, hey, you're going to get a lot of Shredder and you're a big Shredder fan, I don't think that you're going to be pleased here. I feel like the end works itself out pretty good, but it comes on to me sort of all of a sudden. Okay, so how do I grade this movie? What do I do? What do I do here? Okay, so in terms of characterizations, you have the Turtles, Splinter, Casey Jones, April, Bebop, Rocksteady, Baxter, Stockman, Krang, and Shredder. Kind of your core ones. Highlights, definitely Bebop and Rocksteady, just because I think that they were due to be in there. But if I was to grade it all on, I would say that the characterizations as a whole are about a 7, maybe a 6, because they don't really evolve Splinter or the Turtles or April. I mean, their characters are established. Casey Jones is, he's okay. Shredder is disappointing in this one, and the strength of good representations for Krang and Shredder. For the good representations of Krang and Bebop and Rocksteady, I don't know if that's enough to drag everything up. In terms of story, you know what? This is largely for kids and those looking for a nostalgia factor. Not a bad story, just not a really deep story. And I don't think it needed to be. It served its purpose. In terms of special effects and the fun and explosions, hey, if you like that Michael Bay style, then this is a 10, because it's just like that. If you don't like the Michael Bay style of action, you're not going to enjoy this. If you don't like, the Transformers movies, you're not going to enjoy the Ninja Turtles movies, because the environments are pretty much, the same. Whether we're having a big robot battle in Chicago or we're having the Turtles battle in, say, New York, and they're all trying to save the world, it feels the same. I don't feel like there was quite enough differentiation. Does that make it bad? No, it doesn't make it bad. Because I like the Transformers movie, so I kind of dug this one. Starscream Girlfriend, not so much of a fan. Is it a, 5-star movie, so to speak? No. No, it's not. I would give it maybe 3.5 for me. But like I said, I have certain things that aren't issues for me that other people are definitely going to take issue with. I would give it a 3.5. It's up to you what you think. Would I suggest checking it out? Yeah, I would. Sure, why not? It's fun. But you know what? Maybe you could go on cheap movie night, or I don't know if you need to see it in 3D. I don't think it's like an IMAX experience. Just go when it's affordable and enjoy it. Is it as good as the first one? It's a bit of a departure from the first one, so I can't say if it's as good or worse. I do feel like that they do flesh out the characters in the universe a bit more to add more depth that way. It's just Leonardo is still Leonardo. He's what you're going to expect him to be. Michelangelo is exactly what you're going to expect him to be based on the first movie. So, there you go. That's my reaction. There's the good, Bebop, Rocksteady, and Krang. There's, the bad, that it's not really, pardon me, not really its own universe. And there's the ugly Shredder. Yeah, such a disappointment. Such a disappointment. And not seeing enough of the Technodrome. Again, disappointment there. And, like I said, the action is over the top. If you like that over the top action, hey, it'll be a roller coaster fun time for you. That's it. I'm done. I'm out of here for this review. See, I told you. Shouldn't have been anything there that was spoilers, because everything I talked about, you've probably seen on the toy shelves. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And, I look forward to the next time that you guys come here for a visit and stop by and check out any of my work right here inside the videos.